Hello everybody, you already know why you have clicked on this video. Today we will discuss my opinions about the Nintendo Switch 2 after having it for a week. Before we get into it, however, I haven't tried out GameShare nor played the GameCube NSO thing yet, so those won't be discussed in the video. Anyways, let's get into it. So firstly, let's talk about the setup of the console. The setup of the Nintendo Switch 2 is amazing. They first go through a few introductory steps like the time, date, and stuff. Then they'd ask if you'd want to transfer your data from your Nintendo Switch to your Nintendo Switch 2. This was the part where I was careful here, because if you selected that you didn't want to transfer your data from your Nintendo Switch to your Nintendo Switch 2, then you couldn't do it later unless you factory reset the device. So I instead did it after finishing the basic setup in the middle of the setup process when I got my hands on the console at midnight launch. Then we also had the setup music. The setup music really throws you back to the 7th and 8th generation of gaming back in the 2000s and 2010s when Nintendo consoles had music for pretty much everything back then. Like, here's the setup music for the Nintendo Switch 2. So that's a nice throwback. Anyways, let's jump into the specs of the system now. The Nintendo Switch 2 had amazing specs. For starters, it can run up to 1080p and up to 120 frames per second handheld. On a screen of only 7.9 inches, that is fantastic quality. Also, when docked and connected to your television, it can run up to 4K and up to 120 frames per second. Though when using 4K, it can only run up to 60 frames per second. It was so good that we had to upgrade our recording materials and we still had to lower the frame rate on our recording to 4K at 30 FPS. But the real question, is it a new generation of systems that is worth $449? Well, the price point is worth it. That's because manufacturing the console for Nintendo itself cost them around $446 according to analysts. And then you have to account for inflation. If the Nintendo Switch was sold in 2025, then accounting for inflation, it would probably be around $399 or so. For upgraded specs, just $50 extra isn't that bad, especially considering that the Nintendo Switch has been out for over 8 years. Now, it might have been an improved Nintendo Switch built from the ground up in my eyes, but that has potential. It's mainly aimed at the big Nintendo fans in my opinion. But that's probably because Nintendo is gearing up for some big console, but they don't want us to wait that long with the slower Nintendo Switch specs. So that's why they built the Nintendo Switch 2, is what I'm guessing, and it's my prediction. Around the early 2030s or so, Nintendo might reveal a brand new console with a new gimmick that we aren't thinking about right now that is very revolutionary and out of this world. So if you are in for the upgraded things that the Nintendo Switch 2 offers, then go for it. So that's how the specs of the Nintendo Switch 2 is like, and how it enhances gameplay. Now let's jump into Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World was the big launch game of the Nintendo Switch 2. This game has everything. Like, I went crazy with the game when I first got it. It went from just the first booth to all the cups, to the animation of unlocking the special world near the end. As of recording this video, I am yet to have finished the game, but this all is awesome. Now you might be saying, what about the $79 price point? To that, I have an answer. You see, when Nintendo launched the original Nintendo Switch, the games were around $59 and stayed like that throughout the console's lifespan. Now, adjusting for inflation, $59 in 2017 would be equivalent to nearly $79 today. But the whole theme of it being a world instead of just individual races really brings charm to it. Especially since you can drive around between courses now. So that's how Mario Kart World is like. Now, let's focus on one of the most Nintendo Switch 2 games that has a lot of controversy. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour does have a lot of not so great reviews, but is it worth it? Well, I guess that it probably should have been free, but in my opinion, I didn't get my money's worth out of it. All of that fun was definitely worth $10 for me. Also, being able to easily learn about the console and teach the console to new gamers using this game definitely did help me save the effort and also made the learning fun for them instead of stressful. So all that fun and exploration really teaches you about the console. There are a lot of hardware things in the game if you're interested in how the hardware works. So that's my brief summary of the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. In conclusion, the Nintendo Switch 2 is an improved Nintendo Switch, but not just simply so. It was built from the ground up with amazing games while Nintendo is probably gearing up for something big in the next few years. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I appreciate it. Bye.